How's it going, everybody? It's Brian Schrader, making another video for you on how to fully flock a Drake Mallard. Last time we did the hen mallard, and this time we're going to do a Drake Mallard. And so in this video, I'm going to go over on the materials that you're going to need in order to do this, the difference between the two greens of flocking that you'll most commonly see for fully flocking mallards, mainly just the head. In this video, we're going to flock the head and the tail. So with this video, if you just wanted to flock the head and tail, you can totally do it that way. A lot of people do that, just flock the heads or the tails, or flock the heads and the tails, or just the heads. It's completely up to you. I'm gonna run you guys on how to fully flock it, but anyway, so the materials you're gonna need is your 1-inch chip brush, like this. You will need, I use black Rust-Oleum oil-based paint, flat black. You can use gloss black too. So if you do some research, you'll read that there are people that talk about gloss paint being holds the flocking to the decoy a little bit better. I'm not sure how true that is. I've been using flat just because if the flocking does rub off, I want a flat color behind it, not a gloss color. That's more of personal thing. I don't know if there's any actual factual things behind it, but you will also need your flocking applicator, which again is just a ketchup bottle, or a condiment bottle, I should say. You can get them just about anywhere. And then you will need forest green flocking. I get this off of eBay, or there's also a color out there called mallard green flocking. Now, I'll show you the difference between the two. I'll just say right off the bat, my personal, the one I'm going to use on my decoys is the forest green, and I'll show you the emerald green. I call it emerald green, but the mallard green, and you guys can decide which ones you want to use. But anyway, we'll just roll right into it. So first things off, just make sure your paint is mixed up properly. And get your brush. So the decoy I'm going to be flocking is a GHG Pro Grade Drake Mallard. If you guys watched the hen mallard video, this is one of the ones that was shot up. I got it at a garage sale, but I foam filled it and caulked the holes, and it's ready to rock and roll. So anyway, you can, when you're flocking the heads of the decoys, you can, when you're first starting out, it's smart to tape around the bills and the eyes, just till you get a feel for how you're putting the paint on, and it just will give you cleaner lines. I personally have moved away from it. It's just an extra step. I don't think that you personally need to do, but if you want to do it, it's up to you. So anyway, so when you're going around the head, just make sure you take your time, and you kind of want to, I'll run it all the way down in the neck pocket, all the way around, and that white band that's on the front right there, I'll cover that up too with the paint. You kind of want to go about an 1/8 inch past on where your colors are going to meet other colors. I usually go about an 1/8 inch past, just so I can overlap the colors a little bit, so there's no spots that get missed. But this is just a quick and easy way to make your decoy stand out a little bit more if you want to just do the heads. If you do the heads, you know, I suggest airbrushing them afterwards and making them really come to life. The tail section, for those of you that just want to do those, is you're gonna do something a little bit different, and I'll explain that as soon as we get there. But right now, I'm just going around the eyes and the bill. If you get paint that runs like that, don't worry about it. You know, like I said, you're gonna overlap the colors, so if you get a little go a little overboard on it, just don't worry about it. It's fixable. Make sure you kind of, when you're doing this, make a solid line, you know, just a straight line. It's just easier when you come over the top of it to line it up, and makes your flocking lines look a lot better too, and you don't got to shade them as much when you airbrush. But that's too much paint. So anyway, sorry about that. So anyway, you just, from this point, I'm gonna add my flocking before I do the tail. But, so I got it all painted up. So you'll just turn out. What I do is I hold the decoy about a foot to 18 inches away from the bottle in my catch bin, and just squeeze and sprinkle. And again, you can't put too much flocking on there. It's gonna the paint can only hold so much flocking. So as much flock, you're gonna have extra fall off. No big deal. Let's put as much on there as you can. Then so then turn it upside down and hit the bottom of it, knock off all that extra flocking, and then take a look at it and make sure you didn't miss any spots. If you did, you see any paint coming through, add some more flocking to it. You get more flocking you put on there, the cleaner it's going to look. So this is what the head of the Mallard with the forest green flocking looks like, and this is the Mallard with the Mallard green flocking. So you can see the difference comparatively. The Mallard green's like a lighter shade of green. It's more like, I guess, saying more emerald green. I think they turn out better with this, with the forest green flocking. It's my personal opinion on that. I just did that one up to show you guys the difference. On my second coat, I'm going to put forest green on there, so it isn't going to matter much at all. But yeah, if you guys are going to, you know, buy both colors and see which one you want or which one you like, because if you start with the Mallard green and you don't like the color, switch it over when you do your second coat of flocking, switch it to the forest green, and it'll come out looking just like this. So moving on to the tail section. So on the tail, you'll see a lot. You'll see on actual Mallards there's a green, kind of a green-black tint back here underneath the wings. So to get that effect, what I do is I just put the same Mallard green, or forest green, on the tail section. I just do the whole tail in forest green for my first coat. For my second coat, that's when I'll add the white flocking on the tail portion right here, and then I'll add black on the bottom. So that's where I change the colors, and you still get your two coats back there. And having 2 coats towards the back tail section is really important because there's a lot of wear right back here from the decoys being in bags and whatnot. So you're going to want to make sure that you get this section back here really, really well. So again, I'm going to make it all green. On your second coat, make the bottom black and the top of the tail white with black flocking, white flocking. So next time you see these decoys in my next video, that'll already be done. So anyway, so I just tip my decoys over. I usually start on the back of the tail. Make a solid line right next to the white band that goes all the way around. Thin the paint out. Make sure you get around the tail itself. Oh. And again, you can overlap wherever you want. You know, wherever the colors are going to touch another color, overlap at about an 1/8 inch, and then same thing on the next color. So right here, I'll run the gray all the way to the black, and overlap at an 1/8 of an inch, and that's just so you have complete coverage, and then you don't miss a spot or have a light spot in there, and or a shiny spot, because it'll stick out if you miss a spot and you go to airbrush it, it'll come out. But so anyway, just like that, make sure you get everything you want to hit on the back here, just like this, and then same thing, turn it over, hold it about 1 foot away from the bottle, and then just squeeze on your flocking. Just like that. Make sure you get everything. Turn the tail down, and then give it a couple good smacks to knock out all that extra flocking, and check it. See if you miss a spot, which more than likely you will. I mean, I pretty much do every time. So just make sure you check it and look. And the more flocking you get on there in your first coat, the easier your second coat's going to go on. So if you miss a spot, you'll definitely notice it once you go to put your second coat on. It'll be a thin spot. But anyway, that is how I start it. I just make the tail section green, the head green. This cuts out an extra step. I don't have to change colors of flocking 3 times on the tail, and just do it once. And you can also just leave it like this, and then when you go to airbrush, paint white and paint black. I mean, that's perfectly fine too. Green actually takes both those colors pretty well. So that's another option if you're gonna do that. But anyway, that's it for the first part of part 1 of fully flocking a Drake Mallard. So I'll probably post the next video in a couple of days, and that we will do the breastplate, all the brown all the way around it, and yeah, and then the third part will be, we'll do the gray, and the fourth part will be airbrushing. So anyway, you guys have a good night, and I'll see you later.